Hi everyone, it's so lovely to see you here this evening. And before Sam begins, I wanted to take this as an opportunity to just tell you a little bit more about Adult Cerebral Palsy Hub, and more importantly, our aspirations for the charity and the future for adults living with cerebral palsy in the UK. Adult Cerebral Palsy Hub is a community-led organisation, and we designed it to empower and inform adults who suffer from cerebral palsy. The patient voice is at the core of all the work we do, and it is this that distinguishes Adult Cerebral Palsy Hub from other condition-focused medical charities. To date, our charity has reached over 1,000 adults with CP, and we are well on our way to forming a sizable, but importantly, a recognisable community, and it is our hope that this will continue to grow. As you're all very well aware, cerebral palsy is a lifelong condition, but what you might not know is that it's thought that 80% of the 160,000 people in this country with CP are adults, and that equates to a figure of approximately 130,000 adults in the UK. It is now more than ever more widely recognised that despite being a non-progressive condition, CP is a condition which develops associated problems during adulthood, that of arthritis, fatigue, pain, to name but a few. We believe that specialist care pathways should be available in order to support us to achieve positive and long-lasting results. However, I'm sure that you've experienced a world where coordinated and specialist services do not exist for adults today, unlike for other neurological conditions, and this lack of support results in worse health outcomes for those living with CP, which in turn has an impact on job retention, quality of life, and reduced life participation. A note about COVID. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, we, the adult cerebral palsy community, was already a marginalised community. We are managing physical degeneration and fatigue associated with living with this long-term condition, and we've faced significant challenges accessing timely and quality healthcare and support. Adults with cerebral palsy are 40% more affected by mental health issues than the general population. And these issues of loneliness and social isolation and anxiety were unsurprisingly exacerbated by a country in lockdown. So we have seen a community that has struggled not being able to access regular rehabilitation during the pandemic. And this has compounded the physical and mental health challenges that we already faced. What have we been doing over the last 18 months? Well, in our short life and on a really limited budget, we have successfully positioned Adult Cerebral Palsy Hub as the voice of adults with cerebral palsy in the community. We've begun to give a voice and support a large, silent but unrepresented community. We've begun improving the understanding of cerebral palsy as a lifelong condition. And we've tried to support the sharing of best practice and the development of bespoke services for adults with cerebral palsy. How have we done this? Well, we've been trying to grow our membership. We've launched regular support groups for the community, and we've built partnerships with medical professionals, researchers, other charities and policymakers in a bid to improve knowledge and services for adults with cerebral palsy. All this while trying to influence changes in practice on the ground and build our reputation nationally and internationally. Importantly, cerebral palsy is now widely recognised as a long-term condition that benefits from ongoing care and support across the lifespan. We were instrumental in the publication of the new NICE guidelines. However, like me, you might be surprised to know that despite this newfound understanding and the guidelines, there is still no compulsion for these to be put into place by the NHS commissioners. Now more than ever, it's abundantly clear that there is a lack of parity of care from this community compared to other long-term conditions. Our challenge is to create the momentum for change, because we understand that for a small and relatively new organisation like Adult CP Hub, overhauling the NHS is no mean feat, and that we certainly can't do it alone. We understand that the only way for things to improve is to galvanise you, the cerebral palsy community, and our supporters to build a movement for change and create a voice loud enough that it can't be ignored anymore. We have seen through the NHS response to COVID that change can happen quickly, but that this requires public pressure. Unfortunately and understandably, due to the years of neglect and lack of support and understanding, we have a community that feels isolated, disempowered and disengaged, and sadly, distrustful that change is possible. But as I've said, we have set about trying to grow and empower our community, and we're doing this in 3 ways. 1, through providing community support. We want to build an engaged community that can support each other. 2, self-care. We want to help the community manage and be expert in their own condition. And 3, the patient voice, giving a voice to the community and raising the profile of cerebral palsy as a lifelong condition. This evening, we are incredibly grateful to Sam James for agreeing to come and talk to us this evening. We've come to understand by way of research, but also by the experience of our members, that staying active is key in sustaining our health and our function. And importantly, it has a role in helping to maintain our skills and slow down the decline in ability that most of us experience with age. But don't just take my word for it. Dan will be sharing with you how exercise really did change her life, so much so that she went on to develop a career in it. Not only do I find her transformation from non-exerciser to exerciser fascinating, but she'll also be sharing with you her experience as a disabled lady in an industry not set up to be inclusive. For me, Sam epitomises our 3 working principles. She's here tonight to share her insights about how we can all be better at self-care. She is a valiant role model within the CP community, something we must see more of if we have any hope of changing perceptions, both within our own community, but within the general public at large. Showing them what it means to be an adult living with CP and how, yes, owning our disability can help change perceptions. Not only all of that, but she's also agreed to be a mentor on our forthcoming Movement Challenge programme, supporting the community to not only think about being more active, but to actually do it. But I'm going to let her tell you more about that. I've just enough time to tell you a little about our hopes for the future and our future projects. We'd like to see many more community support groups, our own dedicated support lines, many more educational evenings like tonight, as well as trying to continue to raise the voice of the CP community amongst policymakers, researchers, and the medical profession. So this is my plea to you, to consider fundraising for us, because together, I really do believe that we can make a difference. Thank you for listening to me, and now I'm going to hand back to Miriam for the rest of the session.
Thanks, Emma. That was fantastic. Emma's already talked a little bit about Sam, but I'm just going to give you a little introduction as well, and then it's over to you, Sam. So Sam James, for those who don't know, runs her own company, Inclusive Fit. She's a personal trainer, a Zumba trainer, and a fitness disability expert, and that's on top of her day job. Sam today has kindly agreed to talk about her journey, not only in her fitness journey, but breaking the glass ceiling within her workplace, all while living as an adult with cerebral palsy. Over to you, Sam.
I'll meet you in 10 minutes. 1 second.
Yay. Hi, evening everyone. Thanks Emma, thanks Miriam, great introductions. So I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to my actual cerebral palsy, how I got it, and my childhood, because it actually lays down why I got into the actual industry as well as another reason. So I was actually born able-bodied, and I had a missed cot death at 9 weeks old. So my mum left me for about a minute, come back and found me blue. She resuscitated me and obviously took me up to hospital. From that time, I was actually stopped breathing, resulted into my cerebral palsy. So I have spastic diplegia. I have it bilaterally, so it affects me cross body. As I was growing up, I always wanted to dance. So dance is my thing, but unfortunately we couldn't find a dance school that would take me. We found one. When we did go, I was 8 and they put me in with a kids that are 3 and 4. And as you can imagine, this is my first taste of passive discrimination. So they thought that they were doing right by accepting me, but they didn't realise the impact it would have on me being put with people half my age. And as soon as I walked out of that session, I just said to Mum, I'm never coming back. Because even at 8, I knew what was happening. From this, we couldn't find anyone else to go in to do dance. I ended up joining my brother into swimming. So I swam at the age of 18. I went to uni, and obviously partying became the norm at uni. Then I stopped exercising until I was about 28. In this time, I got really stiff, really tight. I was in a day job, but I was sitting down all the time at a computer. And when I was talking to a doctor, she said that I should try like Pilates or yoga. So I found at my gym, they signed up to the gym and started Body Balance, which is a mix of Tai Chi, yoga and Pilates. This I saw straight away within a few weeks. I was getting more mobile. I was getting less painful, and it really, really helped me as well. As well as not only did I notice, but the friends that I went with me to the class actually noticed as well. Then came back my passion for dance, because I saw an interview on TV with Beto, who is the creator of Zumba. And I was like, oh, what is this new fitness class all about? It's all about dance. And immediately I was watching it, and he was saying that Zumba was for everyone. It doesn't matter how much you can move or not move, you could do what you want during class. So then I sought out a class locally and went. I went with my mum to start with, and I was hooked straight away. It was like one of the first, I say, cardio classes that I could actively take part in. I was really blown away that I could adapt it quite easily, and the instructors let me get on and adapt it, and I actually fell in love with the whole program. At the time, I did want to train, but personal circumstances meant that I couldn't. Then, roll on 3 more years later, I went and cracked a bone in my shoulder joint. This one to be precise, and I couldn't move my arm past here. So after 6 months of physio, I still couldn't get it past here. Then she recommended that I go and work with a rehab PT in my gym. And within 2 weeks, I went from here to up here. And I actually saw the power of the exercise. I ended up going 3 times a week, and then with the PT, and I then ended up going by myself because I actually felt a love for weightlifting. So much so that I now powerlift, and I also help the local powerlifting club in making them more inclusive. Through the actual working of a PT, I actually really saw the benefits of how exercise not only improved my shoulder, but it overall improved my whole disability. When I started Zumba, I couldn't even do a squat without doing like a balance chicken act. So, and when I started doing all the weights in the gym, I could actually squat properly without any help or any aids. And I actually saw my balance increase. I was falling over less, and my muscles weren't in so much pain. They were getting looser, and I found that I could do a lot more with my actual life, and actually I could do more within other classes as well. So I was trying out other classes. So I was doing body attack, body combat, body jams, so I was working out what I could do and couldn't do. So from talking to the PT, he said, why don't you do this as a job? You've got the knowledge, you've got the experience. And I was like, well, I do, but I don't know where to start. I wouldn't know what qualifications I need, where to go. So he told me what I needed and told me to Google it, because there'll be different companies out there, and obviously they're all different. So I Googled it, and the first thing that came up was instructability. So for those that don't know, instructability was set up by the charity Aspire in London, who's a spinal cord charity, and they were set up because they realised at their gym in London, at the head office, that there was no disabled people working in the fitness industry. So they got Sport England funding to train up disabled people to work in the leisure industry. So I thought, oh God, this sounds too good to be true. Free training if you're disabled. I was like, no way, there's got to be a catch somewhere. So I printed off the information. I took it into the gym. I not only showed the PT, but I showed the gym manager. And she said, no, it's kosher, you need to apply for it. And with the instructability, you have to do a 12-week work placement in a gym. She said, oh, you can do that here, put my name down, I'd do it. So I applied. Actually, I completely forgot all about the fact that I applied. 3 months later, I had a phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning to say that I got an interview for the course, which is in Guildford, and I'm in Swindon, so it's like 90 minutes away. She offered me and my mum to go down for the interview. I had to do a little presentation about why I wanted to go on the course, and I had a one-on-one interview with the tutor as well to make sure that I was suitable for the course. A week later, I started, and then 5 weeks after that, I qualified as a level 2 gym instructor. So it means that I could do inductions within the gym and do basic like body conditioning classes, circuit classes. A month later, I went on to do my level 3 exercise and disability qualification. So this came as part of the instructability package, and this is what you actually need to work with disabled adults in any fitness setting. Regardless if you do classes or a PT, you need to have this qualification, and it does cover cerebral palsy in the qualification. So it gives the instructor doing the course, it gives them the basic background knowledge to CP. We all know CP is different in all of us, and you can't go into too much depth, but it gives the basic background information you need to work with CP. I then went on to do the 12-week work placement. From this work placement, it's a council gym. I got taken on as a casual. For those that don't know what that means, it means that I was work as a casual on a not-hours contract, just working as and when needed. One of the ladies said, oh, you should email this lady, she runs the exercise referral scheme, they'll be perfect for you. So I did, and I started volunteering for them. Within 4 sessions, I got offered paid work. And it was because of how I interacted with the clients, how empathetic I was with the clients. I understood their needs, I understood where they're coming from, and they noticed this straight away. I'm still in this job, this is my day job, and I've been there 7 years this year. I have progressed into different roles, so I had to still fight to get a proper contract. Because it's a council, the centres are being bought out by external companies, and I then went on to get a job within a mainstream school with a disability unit. So I was taken on as a physical disabilities advisory service as an outreach worker. And my main job was to make sure the PE in the school was fully inclusive, because the children with cerebral palsy were being excluded from PE. So I had to train up all the teachers, TAs, in actually making sure PE was inclusive. I had a 3-year contract. Within 2 weeks, or within 2 months of me starting this contract, I met my current manager. He headhunted me, and within 2 weeks, I was heading up his disability gym sessions. So this is where we open it up for the gym twice a week. Those are people with different health conditions and disabilities come along knowing that they've got a couple of gym instructors in the gym that they can work with that can adapt to their needs and their conditions. I have been his lead coach ever since. He is one manager that I have found that looks at me as a person. He doesn't see my disability. I had my appraisal 3 weeks ago, and he actually said, he sort of commented that during lockdown my CPs got worse, and he was shocked because he completely forgot I was disabled. And that is what you want in a manager. He is like, oh, what can I do to help you? And he actually said, that's when he said, I don't see your disability. I see you as the great coach you are. You're my main coach, and I appreciate you for everything that you do. And to hear that is great, because I've never had that in my life. I'm 40 years old and I never had that for anyone before. I've been in jobs, office jobs, but I've not been given a chance to progress because of my disability. I'm sure we've all been there in some respect, and they don't give you opportunities because they just automatically presume and put you down. Whereas in my current job, he's given me chance after chance, trainings after training, so I can improve myself and to go up the ladder as well. So this also goes on to the fitness industry. So for those that don't know, there's two sides of the fitness industry. You've got your corporate gym side, which is your big gyms, so your David Lloyd's, your Virgin Actives, your GLLs, your Everyone Actives, and so on. You've also got your community side. So you have a community fitness side. So this is where community fitness instructors teach in the community. So they hire a hall and they do any type of session that they're trained to do. And for disabled people, in fact, the community side is far more inclusive than the corporate gym side. You might ask why? Well, not in the corporate gym side, not all instructors are trained or understand disability. They're only trained to work with the average healthy adult, and that's all they can do. Whereas the community side, they spend more time in their qualifications because they know that's their sole income. They have to pay the whole hire out that income, they have to pay all their expenses out of it, so for them, it's a harder world. So they know they've got to attract more people into their classes. And in the community fitness side, the instructors are all shapes and sizes, and they're not just the skinny clad in crop tops, tights and shorts. They are every size going, and they actually are been there. They've been a participant in these classes and have decided to go on to train, so they know exactly how it feels to be on the other side of the actual room. Because they sort of, in the industry, you always say you go from the back of a room to the front of a room, where you face the other way, and it's so true, and it is completely different being stood at the front to the back, because that's my journey. So with my own business, I set up my own business virtually straight away. Alongside working, I wanted to do my own classes. I got taken on by a couple of other council gyms close to me, but I'm still teaching. But I also saw the fact that a lot of the big fitness brands, like the class brands, weren't fully inclusive. So I work with a lot of them on a corporate basis, consultancy basis, to make them and their instructors more inclusive. So I've worked with the likes of Clubber Size, I've worked with a brand called Fear Flow, and I helped create Suited Social. And through this, I presented at a lot of the UK fitness conventions. So I actually became the first disabled fitness presenter. And I did this through a lot of hard work. A lot of work on my part. So to get even to work with the brands, you have to make yourself visible, you have to show that you know your staff, and you have to show that you are willing to work with them no matter what, basically. So I still work for Clubber Size, and I spent 3 years as Suited Social, creating the whole brand, and I presented, like I said, at the biggest events. Some of them include like International Fitness Showcase, Leisure Industry Week, Elevate, and a big dance show called Me Bit, where actually when I presented, a lot of the people when I finish will come up to me going, oh my God, I just found something my sister could do. She's got this condition or they've got that condition, and they realise that there's exercise out there that people could do with different disabilities or conditions. Obviously, this is still ongoing. I'm starting to work with some other brands as well in making them fully inclusive, but sometimes these are not known to you guys. And sometimes when you're looking at classes and you're going through different classes are advertised in your area, you don't always know what is inclusive and what isn't, because unfortunately you might not know, oh, Clubicide is a very inclusive brand. It can be done sat down, it can be done stood up. You do what you want. You don't have to hold a glow stick. You can do it whatever way you want to do it. And this is something that's not regularly out there in the, I say, in the community of disabled people. So, just looking at my notes. So you might have seen that I call myself a disability fitness expert. You might wonder why I call myself this. So those people that have level 3 disability and exercise qualification can actually call themselves a disability expert or specialist. I call myself an expert because I have cerebral palsy myself. I know exactly what it's like to be in your shoes. I've been there. I have struggled with pain, all the operations as a child or the physio as a kid, which we all get fed up with when you're growing up. You're like, oh God, not another physio session. Do I have to do these exercises? Or I wore calipers as a kid, and those are old enough to know what calipers were. They're metal sprints that went around your legs that were absolutely ghastly to wear. And they were absolutely awful. So that's what I call myself an expert. It's different from being a normal PT or instructor, because during your basic trainings as a PT or fitness instructor, you're not taught about disability. You have to have the qualification to work and to be insured to work with disabled adults and children. It also tells you how to adapt exercises for different conditions. It also goes into the counter contradictions of working with the conditions as well. So for example, I'm going to give you a story about this Down syndrome. So for Down syndrome, they have a neck condition. So anyone that's got this neck condition cannot do any overhead movements. And if they do, it can actually be fatal for them. But unless you do this qualification, you won't know that. So this is why it's really important that when you're looking for a instructor or trainer to work with, that they have this qualification, because they would know all the contradictions of cerebral palsy, for example, or other conditions that they're working with. Also, an instructor that's got exercise referral can work with you, but they won't have covered cerebral palsy on the exercise referral course. They cover conditions like strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, obesity, MS, etc. So they will not cover cerebral palsy, but they have got the scope to work with you, but they might need to know more about your condition before they actually start working with you. So I'm now going to go on to talk about why exercise in CP is important. So we all know that exercise in CP, the less we move, our muscles become tight. And I got a great way to show you this. So I got a resistance band here, which is quite a heavy one. So if you don't move, your muscles are going to be really like this, okay? And then when like this, they're going to be really, really painful. Yeah, so that means you can't really move because there's no scope for your muscle to move when you move. So when you actually exercise, your muscle becomes looser, looser and looser, and it becomes like it should do. So then movement is easier, and it also becomes less painful. The less painful it becomes, the less need for medication you will need. So for example, there's I'm saying it right, decathlon, that obviously that helps with muscle spasticity, so that in effect, the more exercise you do, hopefully your dosage should come down with that, because the exercise you'll be doing what the drug actually does for you. So, and also, there's been research and scientific studies that have shown strength training. So what I mean by strength training is anything of body weight, these and weights is more beneficial to cerebral palsy than actually stretching alone. And what also another benefit of weight training is that it really helps your metabolism. So if you're also trying to lose weight, it really helps to speed up the process as well, because it's really helping to burn the calories down quicker than just doing cardio alone. So I am now going to move on to the movement challenge. So we have set up the movement challenge and I'm going to be doing it with you. So it's trying for you to choose something that you really want to do, okay? Or it could be move more, it could be just to do some sit stands every day. If you wanted to, I don't know, do like lateral, like frontal raises, it could be a squat, it could just be moving from one room to the other room. It could be just marching on the spot. It could be anything you choose. Okay, it doesn't have to be really, really, thanks, Lillian. It doesn't have to be majorly big. So for my challenge, I'm going to do 100 squats a day for 12 days. That's because I'm a lot fitter, and that actually really helps me keep loose at home. So I am going to be on hand as your mentor to help you through this. I'm helping Marianne do the consultations to help set your goals. Because with any like PT session or any PT client, we always have a consultation where we set people's goals. And this is where we want you to be really honest with us, okay? Really think about what you want to achieve from us over the next 12 weeks, and we will try and help you as much as possible. That's it, Mary.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was amazing.
I remembered everything, I think.
Okay. Well done.
Right, have we got any questions?
Lots of claps in the window. We've had some questions that have come in.
Yeah.
So I don't know, should we do the questions first, Emma, before we talk a bit more about the movement challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the questions was, how can we find out where our nearest disability or rehab instructor is?
You can either do it for your physio, so your local physio at the NHS department will have a list of all qualified instructors in your area. Also with the disability side, if you contact Instructability, they will be able to contact any instructors in your area. Another thing is, don't be afraid to just ask your PT or any instructor if they have got this qualification. Or I always say to people, always ask to see certificates, because anyone can just go, oh yeah, I got it, and work with you, but they might not actually have the qualification until you actually see the certificate. They got one guy that was in one of our gyms who said he's a rehab instructor, but he didn't have the exercise referral qualification. So it's really important to actually see the actual qualifications of people, and just be open and talking to them, basically. I know there's some areas that have more than others, so obviously if you're in a bigger city, there'll be more instructors than if you're in the rural area. But you know, sometimes, but also your GP will also know of any exercise referral instructors as well, because that's how the exercise referral process works. You get referred from the GP. So, and also look at your council. So at my council, we do disability sessions as well as exercise referral, and most councils do run a disability fitness service, as I call it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I've got another question. It's tips on cardio chair-based exercises.
So could you say that?
Who hasn't done anything at all in lockdown?
Do you repeat that? So you break up then?
Tips for cardio chair-based exercises, and whether it's good to use equipment, weight bands,
So, cardio-wise for seated, you're looking at more like combat boxing, because that's the best way to get your heart rate up as you're sat down. But if you're, depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking at losing weight, I really recommend you using the barbell or the weight. So with weight, you can actually use anything. Use tins of beans. You can use like water bottles that are filled up with water, rice or sand, or you can use like washing up bottles, anything that you can hold that's got a bit of resistance to it.
Brilliant.
It depends on what the outcome is, what they want to achieve.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
If that doesn't answer the question fully, then please private message me again and we can expand on it. The question was, how did you motivate yourself in the early days when it was really hard?
I used to always try and have a friend with me, because when you have someone to go with you, you don't want to let them down. So like when you're working, I think I was working out before I was an instructor, there'd be days like, oh God, I'm not going today, I don't feel like it. But I always had like a partner, like we call it accountability partner, so that you would go with someone and you would actually meet them there. So it makes you go, and if they didn't turn up, you were there anyway. So I would be like, oh, I'd not turned up, but oh, I'm here, so I might as well actually have a workout. Also, I was working with a PT, so I booked it in with him, and I had to be there at that time to work with him in that hour, because he only has an hour to work with me. And sometimes if you have got low motivation, it's really good to work with a PT, even to start with, even for like 4 to 6 sessions, just to get you into it, get you used to the environment, and to actually get you into the routine of going. Sometimes I know my council has a service for disabled people that they have like a befriender, so they work with them for 6 weeks, and they will go to clubs or sessions with them to get them going, introduce to the instructor, so that they get used to the actual place that they're going to with ease. And that way, again, they're meeting someone, so they have to go. I think that's a really good way to do it.
Brilliant. That's really helpful. I like that idea about having someone with you to kind of motivate you, so that you don't feel like you're going to let them down.
And also with that, you can go around together and do exactly the same thing. So like on the weights, you could do a set of 10, and then when you have a break, your mate can do a set of 10, and then you just keep swapping over, and it's a really good way of doing it.
So this is another question that someone's posed about, and it's funny, right? One of the challenges with cerebral palsy is the fatigue.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be more active, surely you're going to get more tired.
To start with, yes. So to start with, the first 2 months or 3 months, you could be absolutely really tired, and you might get more tired than you are, but that's because the muscles that you're working haven't been used maybe for years. You might not have used them for like 10-15 years or longer. So you're just, when you start exercising, they're dormant, and suddenly you're just working them up. So they're paying you, them screaming at you. So they're going, oh my God, what have I done? What have you done to me? Like, oh my God, I've got to work now, and they've got to remember how to work. So they haven't worked in that long. They haven't worked for 5 years. They've got 5 years of memory to catch up on. But the more you exercise, the more they remember. So it's called muscle memory. So the more you do it, the more you do it, the looser they become, and they remember it more. So then the pain will drop. Obviously, some people, that pain will always be there, but it won't be a pain. It'll be just like an ache rather than a pain. It's you and Marianne.
So it's a bit like learning what the different sensations you're getting from your body are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So you're learning if it was, so Kirsty, so you will know if it's so with pain, you will either know if the pain's really sharp or it's causing you a lot of discomfort. I'd say stop and move on to something that is more easier, if that makes sense. Because you normally exercise, if it's a really sharp pain, I would always say stop straight away. If it's not a sharp pain, then you can carry on. I'm sure Maria needs to get disagreeing with me anyway.
Yeah, I think the body's telling us things, but it's not always a stopping. It's a learning what it means. So the ache that you get after exercising or after being more active is sometimes uncomfortable, but it's a good ache because it's like that saying that muscle's been working when it's forgotten how to work before. But like you say, if it's a sharp pain, it's a warning.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I've got another question here. Okay. It's quite hard to exercise when you're overweight. So the question is, should you wait till you've lost the weight to start being more active? Or what, how do you, what do you think about that?
I always say that if you're really overweight, do some exercise, even if it is like some bicep curls, some tricep, push backs, some like flies with even without holding nothing. So, for example, I could do a frontal raise of just nothing, and that is exercise at the end of the day. So, if losing weight, it is 80% diet, and it's what you put in here, and it's also making sure you're eating a lot of protein-rich food, and also protein-rich food will also help with your muscles as well. And I'll answer that in a minute, Dean. Okay, and then and it's also making sure you drink lots of water, because sometimes you think you're hungry and you're actually dehydrated. So, for example, I'm just going to say this is half a litre. You're meant to drink 2 litres a day. So for me, I had to drink 4 of these a day to make sure I get the recommended amount of water. And the adult CP health bottles that you'll get is the equivalent of 500 ml. And that is half a litre. So, and also the exercise, especially if you're doing what I call strength training, resistance training, it helps burn it helps your metabolism, it helps you lose the weight quicker. So my God, that's a lot. It's full of me, Robin. So Dean, I'm going to quickly answer your question. Everyone's different. So for me, I prefer to exercise in the afternoons, evenings, because for me, I'm not good in the mornings. And I know I'm not good in the mornings. Whereas you might get someone else that is really more active in the morning than the afternoon or evening. So it all depends on the person when you've got the most energy in you. So whenever you've got the most energy in you, that's when you should exercise. So it is different for everyone. I hope that answers that one, Dean.
So, what would you say is the difference between exercise and activity?
So, so physical activity is you go for a walk. You could be you putting your shopping away. Believe me, putting your shopping away is actually more like a resistance workout than anything else, because you've got a lot of daily functional movements in there. It could be doing gardening, for example. So gardening is another good example. Exercise is when you're thinking about exercise classes, gym-based work, seated workouts. That's the actual difference between the two.
And how often should we be active in that way that you were talking, to make it into a habit?
So starting off with, you should do at least, I recommend twice a week to start with, because once a week's not enough. You need it twice a week for your body to get used to it. And also, I recommend up to about 5 times a week, because you do need rest days, and your rest days will depend on you, your body, how your body copes with exercise. And I normally have Thursdays and Sundays as my rest days, and I'm working the other days, to give an example. So I'm active normally I'm active 5 days a week quite heavily, so yeah.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much for answering those questions, Sam.
Yeah.
And I think if we just talk a little bit more about the movement challenge, just in detail, those that have signed up for it will receive your packs. Those that want to sign up for it, I'll just tell you a little bit more about it. Oh, I'm on the spotlight now. It's a 12-week course, and what we're planning on doing is we are going to have a weekly meetup, which will be like a drop-in, the same time every week. The time and date is going to be discussed and decided upon once we've got the whole cohort, work out what works best for us all. And as Sam already said, Sam and I are going to do the initial consultations with you to work out what would be the best activity that you want to do to improve your level of movement. Yeah, it's not meant to be you suddenly start weightlifting or you suddenly start training for a 5K. It's not like that. We've all been in lockdown. We've all been doing not a lot, not as much as we could have done before because a lot of things have been locked down. Our work systems change, everything's changed, and it's a really lovely opportunity to actually start more new habits, more good habits that we probably explored a bit in lockdown with other areas of our life. So, for instance, if you have started going for a walk every day, maybe go a bit further. Or if you've started moving around, doing a little bit of clearing up of one area in your house, or sorting things, maybe thinking about the position you're doing it. Are you doing it in sitting or are you doing it in standing? Now, if you were doing it in sitting, then could you do it in standing? It's a bit harder, it's a bit more challenging, and maybe you just do it in standing for 5-10 minutes and then you get back down to sitting. But it's looking at, it doesn't have to be a big change. It's the small steps that make the difference. And some people might say, oh, you know what I want to do in 12 weeks? I want to be here. And Sam and I might have to say, right, that's a bit too far to just do straight away. We need to maybe break it down into smaller sections to get you to that point. So it's not saying don't think big. Definitely think big. But and we are definitely here, not only Sam and me and Emma and Karen, to support you and everyone else running it, but also the team who are going to be in the group. You're going to all support each other. So it could be, you know, that gym buddy that Sam was talking about is you know, you do it for each other, that you might find you phone each other and say, I only managed 3 bottles today, you know, and they go, oh, don't worry, tomorrow's a new day, you can start for another day. And the other incentive, which sometimes is quite a nice idea, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but if you maybe go to a friend or a relative and say, right, I'm doing this challenge, could you just maybe do 5p a day or 50p a day if I do it every day? You can see my tick chart, you know, and just to slowly give you that incentive that you're answerable to somebody else for that period of time. It's sometimes, you know, and it's sometimes nice to have other people supporting you, knowing what's going on in your world, because whether you live with other people or you don't live with other people, we can all live in our own private world. And it's sometimes nice to share it and what we're striving for, you know, what we're aiming for ourselves. Now, the reason we've done 12 weeks, one of the reasons, and one of the main reasons, is research has showed us that it takes 12 weeks to make a habit. So like Sam was saying, you know, she has 2 rest days a week and 5 on active days a week. if you do that in your regular routine, whatever it is, whichever way you set it out, whatever you want to do, over 12 weeks, it will become automatic for you. And if you miss it, whatever it is, you'll think, oh, that doesn't feel right. But by the same token, if you have a down day and you don't do it, you don't give yourself a hard time. Yeah, you phone one of us or message one of us, contact one of us or someone else in the group saying, oh, I fell off the wagon. And we're like, it's fine, because tomorrow's another day. Yeah, but the fact that in your mind, you're processing it means you've already started getting into a habit in your mind. And that's the way to change things, to change our mindsets, and then we create physical change. But unless we think it, we won't change it. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. So, apparently I meant to mention chocolate biscuits as well. So someone finds chocolate biscuits a really good incentive. I have to say, my incentive at the moment, at the end of a really hard day, is those tiny mini Saints Magnums, but they're not real Magnums. They're like the shop supermarket owned, because they're not big enough to feel really bad, but they're good enough. So everyone has their thing, and maybe we need to share those as well.
Sorry, Mim, to interrupt. I was actually meaning just something to take into account. If you all ate a chocolate biscuit every single day for lockdown, do you think that you would have put on weight by the end of the 3.5 months? Just one single chocolate biscuit. We all accept that by doing that over the last 3.5 months, we would have put on some pounds. Equally, if we think about exercise, even if we change habits by doing 10 minutes every day for the next 12 weeks, we will make a change about how active we become. So some of us sit here and think, well, unless we can do something really big, it's not worth having a go. But I would say anything is better than nothing. That's what I meant by chocolate biscuit.
Sorry. And Dean said fruit and veg is good for us all too. You're absolutely right, Dean. 5 fruit and veg a day. And my activity, and then I don't mind if I eat a chocolate biscuit. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about the movement challenge before we go? And we'll unmute everybody. So just put a hand up if you do have a question specifically about the movement challenge. And then I think we've hit our hour.
Or we've got people.
They're all gone quiet.
No!
Can I just add on something about your 12-week habit thing? Because most PTs will only work with people to start with on a 12-week contract to start with. And that's for that reason. So most people should get you in for a 12-week program, because that is how long it takes for you to reach your goals. And we work, as PTs, we work on SMART goals. They have to be like realistic, time achievable, and for you to achieve them. So for example, if you said to me, for example, you're in a wheelchair and said I want to squat in 12 weeks, I'm going to say that's not realistic, because that is not realistic. That's a good 1 to 2 year program that I would work on. So for 12 weeks, you've really got to think about what is achievable for you within your daily life. If you're working, if you're not working, what can you fit in? And it can be even so small as, like Karen said, a sit to stand as you're watching TV. So something so small.
Fantastic. So if you are interested in joining the movement challenge, then please email us here at Adult CP Hub or to Karen, who will pass on your details, and we will send you out a welcome pack. And then either Sam or Miriam will be in touch to set your initial goal setting session. And once everybody has done that, then we'll officially get the group together to begin. I'd like to say thank you, Sam, for a truly inspiring
Pleasure.
talk. That was wonderful. Some things I hadn't heard before. It was really brilliant to hear. Thank you so much.